I had the price typed before I even thought about it. $100. My thumb was already hovering over post. I was cleaning out my closet, and I found my old guitar, the one my mom gave me. She's the one who taught me to play, actually, back when I was young enough that my hands could barely stretch across the frets. I hadn't touched it in years. Figured I'd sell it, make a little space, maybe make a little money while I was at it. I looked up what similar ones were going for. 200, sometimes 250, depending on condition. Mine wasn't in bad shape at all. A few scuffs, sure, but the wood was solid, everything still worked. $100. I didn't calculate that number. I didn't compare it to the listings I'd just looked at, or think about what I actually needed from the sale. It just appeared, the way a reflex appears, faster than a thought. And I almost posted it. I really did. My thumb was right there. But something made me stop, just for a second. And in that second, a question showed up that I didn't ask on purpose. Why was my first instinct to cut my own price in half? That question sat with me longer than I expected it to. Last time, I told you I didn't know the answer yet, but I said I knew exactly where I was going to go look. I didn't expect the answer to start with a guitar. I learned how to see clearly this past while, noticing things about my own money that used to slip right past me. But seeing what was happening was never quite the same as understanding why it kept happening to me specifically. And this guitar, sitting there in my hands with a $100 price tag I'd never actually thought through, felt like as good a place as any to start looking for that answer. So I sat with the question instead of running from it. Why did I shrink my own number before anyone even asked me to? And the memory that came up wasn't a phrase somebody said to me. It wasn't a lecture or a moment where anyone told me what I was worth. It was smaller than that, and it took me a while to even recognize it as a memory worth examining at all. My mom used to play at little local spots when I was a kid. Coffee shops, a restaurant that had music on weekends, the occasional wedding. She was genuinely good. I don't say that as a kid remembering things bigger than they were. People used to stop and actually listen. I remember one night in particular at this little coffee shop that used to have live music on Fridays. She was maybe 40 minutes into her set, and this older man got up from his table, walked right up to her while she was still playing, and set a folded 20 on top of her guitar case. Not a dollar, not spare change. A 20, like he genuinely meant it. Like her playing had actually moved him enough to do that. She finished the song, picked it up, unfolded it, and I watched her face do this small thing. A flicker of surprise, almost embarrassment. She walked over to him during the break and tried to hand half of it back. "This is too generous, really. You don't have to do this." He waved her off, insisted, told her she was worth every bit of it. She kept the whole thing that night, but I remember the negotiation. I remember watching my mom argue herself down from a compliment. And that wasn't a one-time thing. I saw some version of that scene play out more than once. A tip, an extra bill folded into her hand, and her saying almost the exact same thing every time. "Oh, that's too much. You don't have to do that." Sometimes she'd give some of it back. Not always all of it, but some. I never thought about that moment again for probably 20 years. It wasn't dramatic. Nobody sat me down afterward and explained anything. I just watched my mom, someone I thought was the most talented person I knew, hand money back to people who wanted to pay her more, over and over, like it was the polite thing to do. Like accepting your full worth was something you were supposed to gently decline. Nobody ever told me I wasn't worth more. Nobody had to. I inherited emotion, a small, reflexive hand gesture that said, "This is too much for me," before the brain even got involved. And 20 years later, sitting there with a guitar she taught me to play, I did the exact same thing. I just did it with a price tag instead of a folded bill. If that just hit you, because you've ever caught yourself shrinking something, a price, an ask, a compliment, before you even had a reason to, hit that like button right now. Because you're not alone in this. And Mo is just getting started. For a while, sitting there, I thought the lesson was simple. I'd always undervalued myself. Fix that. Move on. But that's not actually what I found once I looked closer. I wasn't undervaluing myself. I was pricing myself according to a story I'd been believing for years, one I never even chose. I just watched it happen enough times that it became the default setting, quietly, without a single conversation ever confirming it was true. That's a different problem than just not knowing your worth. Knowing your worth was never really the issue. The guitar's value wasn't a mystery to me. I'd looked it up. I knew what similar ones sold for. The issue was that some older, quieter part of me had already decided, long before I ever needed the number, that accepting the full amount wasn't something people like us really did. And once I saw it in the guitar, I started noticing it everywhere else too. A few days later, a friend insisted on paying me back for gas after a road trip we'd taken together. My hand was already waving it off before she'd even finished the sentence. "Don't worry about it, it's fine." Same motion, same reflex, even though I could have genuinely used the money, and even though she clearly wanted to pay it. I caught myself mid-wave and just stood there for a second, a little stunned. There it was again. Not a guitar this time, not even close to the same amount of money. Just the same old hand, doing the same old thing, completely on its own. So here's what I actually did. Once I saw it clearly, I went back to that listing. I deleted the 100, and I sat there for a second just to notice the discomfort of typing something closer to what it was actually worth. Not inflated, not a power move, just honest. It felt strange, genuinely strange, in my own hands, typing a number that matched reality instead of a number that matched an old habit. I want to be honest about that because I don't think the goal is to make that old motion disappear overnight. The goal was just to notice the gap and choose the honest number anyway, even while the old reflex was still standing right there, arguing with me. I posted it at 200. It sold in 2 days. Nobody negotiated. Nobody blinked. The number I'd been so sure was too much turned out to be exactly what it was worth to someone else the whole time. The only person who ever thought it was too much was me. And look, if nobody ever taught you this stuff, that's exactly why this channel exists. Hit subscribe, because Mo figured it out, and now it's your turn. I keep thinking about my mom's hand, folding that money back before I was even old enough to understand what I was watching. She wasn't wrong to be gracious. That's not the point of this. The point is, I never got to choose whether that motion became mine too. It just did quietly, the way most of these things do. So now, whenever a number is about to leave my hands, a price, an ask, anything, I try to pause long enough to ask one honest question. Is this what it's actually worth? Or is this just an old motion I never chose, showing up again? I don't always get it right, but I'm asking the question now. That's new. That's enough for today. But it also opened up something I wasn't expecting, because if I inherited emotion without ever choosing it, from something as small as watching my mom hand back a tip, what else have I been carrying around that I never actually chose either? A guitar was just the first thing I happened to be holding when I started asking. I have a feeling it isn't going to be the last. Stick around, because where Mo goes next, you're not going to want to miss it.